today we're going to try something different. We're going to do an actual reading vlog. So, I really am trying to be a bit better about keeping up with content for this channel, so I thought this would be an easier way to do so. Relatively easy to film, not that hard to edit, not me just talking all the time. So, something I really wanted to read was The Poppy Lore by R.F. Kuang. I caved and bought this back in January. It's currently February 15th. Happy President's Day for those in the States. And while I'm on a bit of a hold with classes, I figured, you know what, let's knock it out. I don't really feel like waiting for this to remember a reading challenge prompt. And I feel like if I enjoyed this, doing the whole series as a vlog would be really interesting to do instead of just, this is a challenge, here's a little review, and have it feel disjointed. I'd rather do it all together as one. So, this series has been really popular lately, ever since it's come out. I've heard non-stop comments on it about how much it means to people, particularly those in the Asian community, and it talks a lot about history that we often overlook. So many other people have spoken on it, and I'm going to link stuff that'll go over that for you. But for now, let's just get reading. And we do have a special guest here. Lovely sleepy kitty. Without further ado, let's get started. One. That's the first line. Also, this isn't from Crate. I'm just using it as a bookmark. Okay, so aren't we starting off pretty good? This is describing a state exam that she's going to take to earn a place. They call it the Keishu. Don't quote me on the pronunciation. And so it's a way to further your education. And they're talking about all the anti-cheating measures that they have to do and how this is a 12-hour test. I've taken a lot of tests in my time, I did the state test to graduate high school. I did the SAT to get into college. I did the GRE to get into grad school. I did the history praxis as well as the MTELs for history and literacy and communication for teaching license reasons and my grad program. And I have to say, there were some long tests, but they were never worse. Sounds like the dog's going off. I'll be back. Sorry about that. There was someone too near the house. Alright. So you're talking about the exams. So it's really interesting. Obviously I just said I took a lot of exams, and some of these were pretty high stake exams. Like, they don't joke around. There's a lot of preventative measures for cheating, especially exams. There's a lot of online proctoring, which is the only way to take some of these exams now for me. I did that for all my MTELs on my praxis, and there's strict rules like you have to sit at this type of place, you can't have anything around you, like you have to submit photo evidence and be on camera the whole time to show you weren't cheating. Like I would do this during some of my tests as I was reading the questions, and they were like, hey, technically that's a warning, you shouldn't do that. Like, we can disqualify you now if you do that again. So, it's definitely interesting to see how intense this is. And I could find that very believable based off of the traditional civil service exams that they had in China, which is one of the main influences for the, the Empire of Nikon. They haven't actually named anything yet. I'm still only on like page 4. But yeah, just thought I'd comment on that since it stuck out to me. Well, let's get back to reading. Or in the Cascades, sleeping. Me again, just popped back in because I realized I forgot a few of my high stakes testing experiences. So part of my job when I was a English teacher in China was I had to get certified in the Cambridge Teacher Knowledge Test. So I did 3 of those. I was also a proctor for the Japanese language proficiency test when I was in my first grad school. And so I wanted to comment on that because there's also this thing with time limits. They say it's a 12-hour exam. But honestly, for me, unless it was like actual state test where I had no choice but to just sit there the whole time, they, for me, rarely took the full period. So I'm interested to see if it does that for our main character, Rin, as well. Okay, I'm gonna go back to reading now. Back in. So, update. I just finished chapter 1. So, not bad. I did just want to pop in real quick to discuss the studying and exams. So obviously there was a lot of warning related to what happened there. Honestly, I was kind of expecting worse. I'm really glad that they didn't go into too much detail, but there is some self-harm involved to push yourself to keep going, and it's just really such a sad thing to see, but you have to appreciate, well, not appreciate, but acknowledge the fact that this is something that still exists. As many countries, there are many countries where these high stake tests are still make or break, and in Japan, Korea, China, we still see a lot of not just anxiety, but abuse and depression and sometimes even suicide as a result of these exams, and I think that the book kind of did a good job of highlighting how this isn't just a current issue, but a historic issue. Right. Now to keep reading. Okay, so I just got to this part in chapter 2 where they're discussing big wine, and I'm just laughing because it's still a thing in some areas. I was told when I was in China that it's not as much of an issue anymore, but there's been a history of people selling fake alcohol. It just makes me laugh that it's mentioned here, and so I wonder how long this tradition is. I mean, it makes sense as a way to make money. You know, people aren't going to want to drink, but I don't know. It just tickled my fancy. Oh no, I lost my page. Okay. And yeah, big alcohol is very dangerous, which is why there's so much warning against it. It can make you really sick. Sorry, a little bit of Hamilton jamming happening here. Street thunder scares. Some things never change. I wonder how much of it is historical and how much of it is current commentary. So this description of the street vendors is yep, the R's. This is actually a thing each the Beijing dialect of Mandarin. A native an ABC and American Boy Chinese once described it to me as a pirate accent because there's a lot of where other places wouldn't do the at the end of a word. Like instead of saying Zaina, it would be Zainar. And they carry this over into the capital of the Korean Empire stylite as well, which I find a nice little nod. I see what you did there. So we just met Nova. This ought to be interesting. Just met Old Town. I'm really intrigued by the physical description they gave of him, especially the scarlet eyes. Like, this is really weird, but I'm into it. I wonder how much of a role this guy will play. He's kind of like this really built up national hero, even though he's a spear. Like, to be good. I'm gonna go be quiet now. Katie's trying to sleep. Okay, so I just finished chapter 4, and I'm really interested in the education that they're receiving at Synagard. Synagard, I think. I'll have to double check the pronunciation. I think it's Synagard. Hey, editing me here. It's Synagard. I find it really interesting, especially in their history class, how they actually acknowledge a lot of their inadequacies and struggles and how they can actually win. It was also really interesting to hear the lesson on the spiralians. It's supposed to be this representation of various tributaries to the Chinese Empire. One source I've read likens it more to like Taiwan in particular, and this is interesting to me because I wonder about that history. I haven't heard much about Taiwan apart from its link to China and how controversial that can be. Alright, on to the next. Because, again, gotta kind of keep quiet for my sleepy head, buddy. She's. Alright. Again, I'm back. So, I am currently on chapter 6. This last chapter was pretty rough. I'm glad to see Ren is making progress, and they're talking a lot about the inequity of the system and how useless a test is. You know, that really says a lot about current exams as well. But there was this one scene in particular which really hit hard for me. I can respect that's what you wanted, but it was still just like, I really wish that hadn't happened. And the cat slept. Alright, time to get back to reading. Bodhidharma. They have Bodhidharma. This makes me so happy. Okay, so Bodhidharma is this really influential figure in the spread of Buddhism throughout Asia. And so, and it was nothing like all this literal historical side, like the mythological figure to appear in this fantasy. So cool. This ought to be good. I'm gonna stop recording for a bit and just read. It's actually really interesting because I am also listening to War and Peace at the same time. I didn't actually expect to like this book. I thought it would be a lot harder read. But again, still very early, and on page 131, the start of chapter 7. Still got a ways to go, but I'm really liking this. Alright, check in later. We are back. It's now gotten dark. We're using some tea. And there has been progress. So as you can see, I'm about halfway through. I just got a couple chapters to part 2. About to start chapter 13, which is 269. So it has been so good. I really enjoyed this so far, and there's this potential twist that hasn't been fully realized yet. It's still speculated at this point, but I'm like it. And it's creating an opportunity for something I was hoping would happen. I wanted to see these two characters have a chance to work together and get to know each other, because I think they would be adorable together. But yeah, so far having a good time, surprisingly, because I was not about to be here for a time. I'm not mad though. There have been a couple of parts already where once you start part 2, I can see why people say that this is a bit hard to get through. It definitely picked up and got a bit more graphic as you see actual combat stuff start. They're no longer just class, it's not quote unquote peacetime. But again, still managing to get through it so far. But again, there is still all this left. So I'm nervous. It's about 6:21. I'm gonna do a bit more of reading. I want to see if maybe I can get through part 2, which would be this much more, and get to bed kind of early because I have work tomorrow. I have a 9 a.m. call center shift, so let's see, that's page 405. I can't do math. 5 minus 6. So another 136 pages. I think I can do that. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get a little bit more done tonight. And a little later, I'm gonna start getting ready. I'll get some cocoa. Don't want to have any more caffeine so I finish my soda. Yeah, I'm excited. This has been good. Alright, enough watching me and listening to me. Let's get back to reading. So, yeah, I reached the end of part 2. So, I had to start chapter 21, which is the beginning of part 3. Let's just admire that. That is really pretty. It's really subtle in person. And, so yeah, I remember when I said I was excited about a certain thing happening towards the last update. I should have expected that was how this would turn out. But yeah, the thing I had been hoping for, both did and didn't happen. It's like there seems to be this very complicated relationship, and there's this almost moment of a love triangle between her and abusers. Yeah. So, that's the thing. And we're pretty much like full into the war efforts now, so yeah, it's definitely picking up on some of those things I was nervous about, and the reason why I only bought the first one at this time. I'm still enjoying it, like it's still really well written, but obviously as they depict some of the horrors of the war and death and everything, can get a bit gruesome. It's not, for me personally, unmanageable in the way some other things have been in the past, but not in the faint of heart. So we've got that page 4, right? This is 527. So about 118 more pages left. It's about 8:40 in the evening. Let's try to get this done. So, yeah, just got here chapter 21. It's definitely the worst chapter in this book, one of the worst chapters I've ever had to read. It's absolutely brutal. It really gets into all the war crimes committed against the people, and it just does not let up. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to wrap these last 90-some pages off screen, and we'll be back to chat. So, I finished the Poppy War. I definitely now get all the warnings. I don't know how I feel at this moment. So, it took me a little over an hour to wrap that last part. It's about 9:46 right now. And this was so good. I obviously read it all in a day. It's not a super long book, but wow. Definitely say that there is this really big spiral and descent that's happening here. It's beautifully written, but it makes me real nervous to continue. We're already so low, and a lot of the characters that I like are gone or twisted. So yeah, I did think Rebecca Kuang did a great job with this, and you can definitely see the influence of her scholarship when you read this. It's really hard to write a book like this and still have readers joy because it's deep, man. Well, that's it for this time. If I can later form a coherent thought, I will share it. Thanks for coming on this journey.